Everyone, hope everyone had a nice break. It's good to be back. And over the break, we actually started reading Sefer Shemos. And in this week's Parsha, Parsha Vide'Ara, so we're told that Hashem commands Moshe to go to Paro and to tell him about the plagues that are going to come if he refuses to let the Jewish people go. And an interesting question arises, and that is, Paro in the beginning decides on his own that he doesn't want to let the Jewish people go, and then eventually, later on, Hashem actually hardens the heart of Paro. Hashem decides to basically take away the free choice that Paro has. And the question is, why was Hashem allowed to do this? Why would Hashem do this? We have a concept in Judaism of free choice, so how could Hashem be able to do that? So the Rishonim all discuss this, and there's a lot to talk about when it comes to free choice and how Hashem's role in the world sort of deals with free choice. The Rambam actually explains in Hilchos Tshuva, the Rambam says that sometimes a person can do something that's so bad, or a person can be involved in so many terrible averos, that Hashem actually removes the ability for that person to do teshuvah. And that sort of answers the question a little bit. It's not that Hashem takes away Paro's free choice, but rather because he was involved in such evilness, such wickedness, and such bad things, so Hashem actually removes the ability for Paro to do teshuvah. Rashi actually argues, and Rashi says in the beginning of Parshas Bo, that when Moshe comes to Paro, he's actually coming to Paro in order to warn him. The language of Rashi is for hasra, for warning. So obviously, according to Rashi, the concept is that Moshe is coming to Paro to warn him. Obviously, he did not lose the ability to do tshuva. Obviously, he's warning him in order to try to get him to change his mind. So the Nesiva Shalom actually explains this idea, at least according to Rashi, and Nesiva Shalom says, how could it be that a person could be in such a bad situation, such a bad place in terms of their connection with God, and they still have the ability to do teshuvah? How could that be? And the Nesiva Shalom explains that he says that just like in Gashmias, in the physical world, a person sometimes is able to tap into their inner strength, and they're able to do things that are even beyond human comprehension and beyond physical ability. So too in Ruchnias, in the spiritual world, also a person sometimes is able to do something that seems to go against and seems to go beyond the normal ability in spirituality, in Ruchnias. And he says this is the concept over here with Paro, and it's an important lesson that we can get out of this as well. That Paro, that even though he was so far gone, he was so bad, he was so much involved in wickedness and terrible things that we can't even fathom, we can't even understand, still, at least according to Rashi, still Hashem recognized that he still has the ability. There is still this little piece that's able to connect and is able to do the right thing. And that in Chassidus is called the Pintel Yid. That's the piece of the neshama that stays pure and stays pristine and holy and always is able to reconnect with Hashem. And it reminds us that a person, no matter where they are, no matter how far gone they feel like they are in their avodas Hashem, they always have the ability to reconnect with Hashem. That's the concept of the Pintel Yid. And obviously with Paro, he gets beaten down all the way to the 10th Makkah, and then he eventually lets the Jewish people go. The message for us, for regular Jews like us, simple Jews, the concept is that sometimes we find ourselves in a situation where maybe we did something wrong, and maybe we feel like, how could Hashem want us back? How could Hashem be interested in us still? And the idea is, the message of the Pintel Yid and the message that Rashi is teaching us here, based on Paro, is that no matter what a person does, no matter what a person's involved in, there is always that Pintel Yid. And sometimes it's hard to find. Sometimes it's hard to look into into oneself and to say, I want to connect back to Hashem. I want to have the ability to reconnect. I want to have the ability to serve God again. And it is hard. Sometimes it is hard. And sometimes a person can feel almost a sense of depression. A person can feel a sense that why would Hashem want me back? But this idea, the idea of the Pintel Yid, the idea that a person always has that strand, that connection point that always keeps him connected to Hashem, should remind us that no matter what happens, no matter what we're involved in, no matter how far gone we feel like we are in our avodas Hashem, in our service of God, we always have that ability to reconnect. We always have that ability to connect back to Hashem. And we have to remember that we say on Yom Kippur, in the Yom Kippur davening, Hashem is always waiting for us to do teshuvah. Hashem very, very much desires us to do teshuvah. Hashem is eagerly awaiting us to reconnect with Him. So Mir Hashem, with God's help, we should all be able to learn these parashios and take this message and always, always stay connected to Hashem and always find our place in our service of Hashem. Good Shabbos.